Picture your worst nightmare. Now multiply it by 100. Imagine being humiliated in front of the entire school, with every phone camera pointed at you, capturing your complete degradation for the world to see. This is where our story begins, but trust me, where it ends will leave you speechless. Stay with me until the final moment because the twist is beyond anything you could predict. The harsh fluorescent lights of Lincoln High's main corridor buzzed with an aggressive, unforgiving glare. There were no shadows here, no place to hide from what was happening. The air hung thick with the acrid smell of industrial floor cleaner, teenage anxiety, and the electric charge of pack mentality at its most savage. In the center of that polished hallway floor, on her hands and knees, was Sophia Chen. Her long dark hair fell forward like a curtain, concealing her face but doing nothing to hide the complete humiliation of her position. The outfit she wore, a cream-colored blouse and burgundy skirt she'd carefully chosen that morning, hoping to blend in, hoping to feel confident for once, now served only as costume for this public execution. Around her neck, a cheap metal chain was attached to a dog collar. The leash extended upward to the hand of Tyler Brennan, the golden-haired quarterback king of Lincoln High. His red and white varsity jacket with its embroidered lion seemed to glow with unearned privilege. He stood there, not with shame, but with the casual arrogance of someone who'd never faced consequences in his entire privileged life. "Come on, charity case," Tyler sneered, his voice cutting through the cacophony of cruel laughter echoing off the gray lockers. "You know what dogs do. Bark for us. Bark for your scholarship." All around them, a forest of smartphones glowed like predatory eyes, each one recording every second of her destruction. The hallway had transformed into a gauntlet of faces, students from every clique and social circle, united not by compassion but by why the terrifying, primal magnetism of watching someone break. Sophia's entire body shook. Her knuckles pressed white against the cold linoleum. A single tear carved a path down her cheek and splashed onto the floor below. She opened her mouth, and a choked, ragged sound escaped, not quite a bark, but something far worse. The sound of a human soul shattering. Tyler yanked the chain hard. "Louder. Let everyone hear the scholarship dog beg." The laughter crescendoed into something monstrous. This wasn't just bullying. This was a demonstration, a public ceremony designed to reinforce the natural hierarchy of their world. Marcus thought he was teaching her a lesson about knowing her place. But what Tyler didn't know, what none of them could possibly see beneath that trembling girl in the burgundy skirt, was the coiled steel, the scarred knuckles, and the silent, volcanic fury of the underground fighter known only as Phantom. And the leash in Tyler's hand wasn't just holding a victim. It was holding a lit fuse attached to a bomb that was about to detonate. To truly understand the depth of this moment, you need to understand Sophia's world. She didn't live in the pristine, manicured neighborhoods where the Tyler Brennans of the world hosted their parties. She lived in Riverside, a neighborhood clinging to survival, where every month was a battle to keep the electricity on and food on the table. Her mother, Lynn, worked 3 jobs, cleaning offices at night, waitressing during the day, and taking in alterations on weekends. Her hands were perpetually cracked and raw. Her smile was permanently tired. But their love for each other was a fortress, even if the walls were paper-thin. Sophia's full academic scholarship to Lincoln High was supposed to be their salvation. It was Lynn's greatest achievement, the fulfillment of the American dream she'd crossed an ocean to chase. It was supposed to be the gateway to everything better. But at Lincoln High, Sophia was a ghost haunting the wrong mansion. Her thrift store clothes announced her poverty in silent screams. Her quiet intensity, born from years of being the adult in her own household, was misread as coldness or weakness. And to people like Tyler Brennan, son of a real estate developer and city councilman, she was nothing more than prey. Tyler wasn't just a bully. He was an entire ecosystem. His teammates on the football team served as enforcers. The teachers who depended on his father's donations acted as shields. The administration that celebrated his family's generosity turned blind eyes. The system was built to protect him, polished to a mirror shine that reflected only his golden image. Sophia's crime? 1. Week ago in AP Physics, she'd corrected an equation Tyler had confidently written on the board, and gotten wrong. The classroom's collective gasp wasn't about the physics. It was about the audacity. The social contract had been violated. The poor scholarship girl had forgotten her place. Tyler's campaign of correction began immediately. Shoved books. Stolen assignments. Whispered insults. But it escalated today to this public spectacle designed to break her completely. For Sophia, fighting back openly meant risking everything. Expulsion. Loss of scholarship. Her mother's broken heart. She was trapped in a cage made of her own dreams, and the predators were locked inside with her. The barking incident didn't end when the bell rang. It metastasized. Within an hour, the video, edited for maximum humiliation, spread across social media with the viral toxicity of digital poison. The caption, Lincoln's new mascot dog. Sophia walked through the school as a ghost. Whispers followed her like shadows. Random students would bark as she passed. In the cafeteria at lunch, Tyler took it even further. As Sophia tried to find an empty seat at the far end of a table, Tyler slammed his tray down across from her. His friends flanked him on both sides, a wall of red and white varsity jackets, each one identical, each one armor-plated with privilege. "This table's for people, Chen," Tyler said, his voice carrying that casual, conversational cruelty that's somehow worse than shouting. "Dogs eat on the floor." He picked up a French fry from his plate and tossed it at her feet. "Sit. Stay. Good girl." Something flickered behind Sophia's eyes, something dark and dangerous. For just a fraction of a second, the mask of the frightened girl slipped. Her posture shifted. The way she balanced her weight didn't look like cowering anymore. It looked like a fighting stance. The memory flashed through her mind, the cold concrete floor of the basement gym across town, the underground fight club where she was known only as Phantom. The smell of sweat and leather. The roar of a crowd that respected only one thing, strength. The feeling of her taped fists connecting with an opponent's jaw. She looked at Tyler's smirking face and saw not a person, but a target. Her breathing hitched. But then she saw her mother's exhausted face in her mind. She imagined the scholarship revocation letter. She felt the crushing weight of everything they'd sacrificed to get her here. The fire banked. Sophia didn't pick up the fry. She didn't bark. She simply stood, her tray shaking in her trembling hands, and walked away on legs that felt like water. Tyler's laughter boomed behind her. "See? Even the SMA. RT1s can be trained." It felt like defeat. But in that moment of supreme self-control, in choosing not to fight, Sophia had actually won her first silent victory. She had assessed the battlefield and understood that the war wouldn't be won here, in the cafeteria, where the system would crush her. But the war was now inevitable. Tyler had made a catastrophic mistake. He had mistaken her restraint for weakness. And in doing so, he'd given her something precious, time to plan. If you're hooked on this story and want to see how Sophia's revenge unfolds, make sure to subscribe to Bully Tales. Hit that button and join our community of survivors and fighters who believe in justice, second chances, and spectacular comebacks. You won't want to miss what happens next. The small, dusty gym in the Riverside Community Center was Sophia's sanctuary. Here, she wasn't the charity case or the school's pet. She was a fighter. A student of the brutal, beautiful art of combat. Her coach, an old, weathered former champion named Lou, was the closest thing to a father she'd ever had. His face was a roadmap of old fights and hard-earned wisdom, every scar a story. "You're distracted, kid," Lou grunted, holding the focus mitts as Sophia fired combinations. His voice was gravel and truth. "Your head's back in that school. Not here." Sophia let out a frustrated scream and unleashed a blistering combination, hook, cross, uppercut, that made the heavy bag swing violently on its chain. Then she told him everything. The hallway. The leash. The cafeteria. The video going viral. Lou's eyes, usually hidden beneath heavy brows, turned cold and sharp as broken glass. "This ain't a street fight, Sophia. This is tactical warfare. You can't just knock him out in the hallway. The system he's part of will eat you alive." Together, they devised a first strike. Tyler's greatest weakness was his ego. He loved playing the hero, the philanthropist. He was organizing a charity boxing exhibition for the school's underprivileged youth outreach, a laughable irony that made Sophia's blood boil. Lou used his connections in the underground fight network to get Sophia registered as a participant, a nameless, faceless opponent from a partnering community center. The plan was elegant in its simplicity: get in the ring with him legally, in front of everyone, and give him a taste. Not enough to expose her identity, just enough to plant seeds of doubt and fear. The night of the exhibition, the school gymnasium was packed. Tyler, wearing brand new gloves and headgear, played to the crowd, shadowboxing with exaggerated flair. His opponent was announced simply as a challenger from Riverside Center. Sophia wore oversized gear, her hair tucked completely under the headgear. The ref. Erie called them to center ring. The bell rang. Tyler came out swinging wildly, expecting an easy victory against some amateur. Sophia slipped every punch with an almost casual grace that looked like luck to the untrained eye. But to Tyler, it was unsettling. In a clinch, she drove a short, devastating body shot into his ribs, a liver shot that sent white-hot pain screaming through his nervous system. The air left his lungs with an audible whoosh that only he could hear. She leaned close and whispered, her voice ice-cold, "The dog bites back, Brennan." Before he could process what he'd heard, she disengaged, spun around him making him look clumsy and off-balance, and then, in the second round, she took a dive. She sold it perfectly, going down dramatically, making him look like a champion. She'd lost the exhibition. But as she walked back to the locker room, unseen, she glanced back to see Tyler hunched over on his stool, a confused and furious expression on his face. He'd felt her power. He knew something was wrong. The seed of doubt was planted, and it would grow. The victory was partial, but the fuse was now burning. Tyler, rattled and enraged by what had happened in the ring, didn't investigate. He didn't question. He retaliated. And when Tyler Brennan retaliated, the entire system moved with him. 1 week after the exhibition, Sophia was called to Principal Harrison's office. Mrs. Harrison was a woman whose smile never quite reached her eyes, whose sympathy was always performative. On her desk sat a printed essay, purchased online by one of Tyler's friends, with Sophia's name clumsily forged at the top. "Plagiarism is a direct violation of the scholarship's academic integrity clause, Sophia," Mrs. Harrison said, her voice dripping with false concern. "Given this, and the recent distractions you've been involved in, the board has no choice but to suspend your scholarship pending a full investigation." The world dropped out from beneath Sophia's feet. This was the checkmate she'd feared. Without the scholarship, they couldn't afford rent. Her mother would have to take on another job, if such a thing were even possible. Their fragile life would collapse like a house of cards. That night, walking home from Lou's gym through a deserted underpass, the true escalation came. A car screeched to a halt. Tyler and 3 of his teammates piled out, emboldened by darkness and the certainty that their privilege would protect them. "Think you're smart, Chen?" Tyler spat, his face twisted with rage. "That little stunt in the ring? You embarrassed me. Time to learn your lesson. This wasn't about humiliation anymore. This was about violence. About putting her in her place permanently. They surrounded her. One swung a baseball bat. Instinct took over. Sophia, no. Phantom, slipped the swing, disarmed the attacker with a vicious wrist lock, and dropped him with a knee strike. For 5 glorious, terrifying seconds, she was a whirlwind of controlled violence, a shadow made flesh. But it was 4 against 1. A blow from behind, Tyler's fist wrapped around a roll of quarters, caught her temple. Stars exploded across her vision. She fell hard onto the gritty pavement. Kicks rained down on her ribs, her stomach, her back. Pain screamed through every nerve. Tyler leaned down close, his breath hot in her ear. "You're not a fighter. You're nothing. And we crush nothing." They left her bleeding in the dark. Lying there, tasting blood and asphalt, the weight of the lost scholarship crushing her chest, Sophia hit rock bottom. The fighter was beaten. The scholarship girl was broken. The fuse, it seemed, had been snuffed out. But fires smolder. And sometimes, in the deepest darkness, the smallest spark can ignite an inferno. Sophia woke in a clinic, her mother sobbing beside the bed. The doctor spoke of cracked ribs, a concussion, and internal bruising. He also spoke of a resilience he found remarkable. The police report her mother filed went nowhere. Street crime, the officer shrugged. No witnesses. These things happen. The system had closed ranks. Tyler was protected. Sophia was disposable. But in that darkness, unexpected lights appeared. An ally emerged from the shadows. Maya, a quiet girl from her AP physics class, the one who had gasped when Sophia corrected Tyler's equation. She found Sophia at her locker, face still bruised and swollen. "I have something," Maya whispered, pressing a USB drive into Sophia's hand. "I'm good with tech. I've been recording everything since that day in physics. Audio. Conversations. Planning sessions. The underpass attack, I was across the street. I got it all. It's not video, but it's proof." Sophia stared at her, seeing not a bystander, but an ally. A co-conspirator. Then Lou arrived at their tiny apartment. He'd heard. He saw Lynn's despair and Sophia's defeated posture. "All right, kid," he said, his voice like grinding stones. "Playing nice is over. You tried their way. Now we do it ours." He laid out a new plan. Not stealth. Not subtlety. Spectacular, undeniable exposure. The annual Lincoln High Benefactors Gala was approaching, a black-tie event where the town's elite preened and the school showcased its success stories. Tyler would be there, receiving a Youth Excellence Award. Lou had contacts. A security guard who owed him favors. "We get you in," he said. "Not as a guest. As the entertainment. As the truth." A fierce, terrible hope rekindled in Sophia's chest. This wouldn't be a hidden strike. This would be a direct assault on the heart of the empire that protected Tyler Brennan. The evidence, the truth, and her fists would all have their moment. The fuse was not only relit. It was connected to a detonator. The Benefactors Gala was a spectacle of champagne and self-congratulation. Crystal chandeliers. Designer gowns. Forced laughter. On the stage, draped in school colors, Principal Harrison beamed with practiced warmth. "And now, for our Youth Excellence Award, recognizing leadership, character, and community service, Tyler Brennan." Tyler, in a perfectly tailored tuxedo, ascended the stage to polite applause. As he took the microphone, preparing to deliver his rehearsed humility, the stage lights flickered. Then they steadied. From the side entrance, a figure walked into the center of the ballroom. It was Sophia, but not the Sophia they knew. She wore simple gray sweats and a black hoodie. Her hair was pulled back severely. Her face bore the fading yellow and purple of healing bruises, a public map of Tyler's violence. She carried a wireless microphone. "That's quite a speech, Tyler," her voice boomed, clear and steady through the PA system. Every head in the room swiveled. "But leadership isn't about what you do under these lights. It's about what you do in the dark. In the hallway. In the underpass." Tyler's face drained of all color. What is this?" Principal Harrison hissed urgently, "Security." But Lou's friend at the security station was experiencing convenient technical difficulties. Sophia continued, her voice gaining power with every word. "You all know me as the scholarship girl. The poor girl this school's golden boy made bark like a dog on a leash." She held up the USB drive. "But there's something you don't know. Something you need to hear." She nodded to Maya, stationed at the AV control booth. Suddenly, audio filled the ballroom. Tyler's sneering voice, "Come on, charity case. You know what dogs do. Bark for us." The horrific laughter of the crowd. Then, even more damning, the audio from the underpass. Tyler's voice, cold and clear, "You're nothing. And we crush nothing." The room erupted in gasps and horrified murmurs. Tyler, cornered and enraged, saw his perfect world unraveling in real time. "She's lying," he screamed, throwing down his award. "It's fake. Fabricated." He leaped from the stage, charging at Sophia, his tuxedo jacket flapping. This was what Sophia wanted. The legal, public arena. Witnesses everywhere. As Tyler swung a wild, furious punch, Sophia, the frightened girl, vanished. Phantom took her place. She slipped the punch with contemptuous ease. A jab snapped his head back. A cross sent him stumbling backward into the dessert table. It wasn't a fight. It was a revelation. For 30 seconds, she dismantled him with surgical precision, a whirlwind of jabs, hooks, and footwork that spoke of years of discipline and training. Every movement was controlled. Purposeful. Beautiful. The final blow, a piston-straight right hand, sent Tyler crumpling into wreckage of cake and shattered china, his Youth Excellence Award skittering across the marble floor. Sophia stood over him, breathing steadily, the microphone still in her hand. She looked out at the stunned, silent crowd of parents, donors, board members, and faculty. "My name is Sophia Chen," she said, her voice ringing with finality. "I am the reigning lightweight champion of the Underground River Circuit. And I am nobody's dog." The fallout was nuclear. With the audio evidence public and undeniable, the system that had protected Tyler shattered like glass. The police, now under intense public scrutiny, reopened the assault case. Tyler was charged with aggravated assault, conspiracy, filing false reports, and hate crime enhancements. His parents' influence evaporated under the spotlight of social media outrage and legitimate journalism. The scholarship board, in a panic, not only reinstated Sophia's funding but offered her a full ride to the state university with a formal public apology. Principal Harrison was forced into early retirement after emails surfaced showing she'd ignored multiple documented complaints about Tyler's behavior. But justice wasn't only punitive. It was restorative. The school implemented a comprehensive anti-bullying program designed by students, with Sophia and Maya at its helm. The video that once documented her humiliation was taken down, replaced by videos of her story, used now as a teaching tool for empathy and intervention. Tyler, in a stunning development, faced not just criminal charges but mandatory community service and intensive therapy. A year later, from a juvenile detention facility, he wrote Sophia a letter. It wasn't an excuse. It was a raw, ugly confession, of entitlement, of fear, of the sickness that had driven his cruelty. He apologized not to seek leniency, but because for the first time in his life, he saw her as a human being. Sophia didn't forgive him easily. But she acknowledged the letter. Redemption, she was learning, was a long road. And it started with facing the truth of what you'd done. 5 years later. The camera pans across a sun-drenched gymnasium. Not the dark basement where Sophia once fought in shadows, but the Chunlu Boxing Academy in the heart of Riverside. The walls are covered not with trophies, but with photographs, kids of all backgrounds, all smiling, all fierce and determined. In the center ring, Sophia, now a composed young woman radiating quiet confidence, holds focus mitts for a small, fierce 10-year-old girl. Again, Jasmine. Speed and precision. You're not fighting angry. You're fighting smart. The girl fires a combination, her eyes blazing with focus. Sophia's mother, Lynn, watches from the front desk. Her hands are no longer raw. Her smile is no longer tired. There's peace in her eyes. Lou sips coffee in the corner, his weathered face softened by pride. Sophia had transformed her pain into purpose. Her rage into refuge. She'd used her story, her visibility, and her fight winnings to fund this place, a sanctuary for kids who felt invisible, vulnerable, full of fire they didn't know how to channel. The camera closes in on Sophia's face as she finishes the lesson. She looks directly into the lens, her eyes holding the wisdom of battles fought and won. They told me I was less than. They tried to put me on a leash made of shame, of poverty, of their own insecurity. But here's the truth they didn't know: no bully, no system, no moment of darkness can ever define you. You are not what they call you. You are the quiet strength in the cafeteria. You are the enduring love of family. You are the fire that survives every attempt to put it out. You are the comeback they never saw coming. Your strength is a story only you can finish writing. So write it well. She smiles, not the broken smile of the girl on the leash, but the smile of a warrior who has claimed her power. Now tell me, where are you watching from? What's your battlefield? What strength are you holding on to? Let me know in the comments. Let's build this community together. The screen fades to the Academy's logo, a phoenix rising from shadow into light.